They said no one could stop him. Inside a ballroom glittering with chandeliers and polished marble floors, billionaire Adrian Cole was about to sign the most important deal of his life. A $500 million hung on the stroke of his pen. But before the ink could touch the paper, a trembling voice broke the silence. "Sir, that formula is wrong. Not from an investor, not from a scientist, but from a waitress." And what happened next shocked the entire world. Wait, before we continue, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from right now? And please, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Jameel Tales. Your support helps us create more inspiring stories just like this one. Clara James had been invisible all night. She moved silently between tables, pouring champagne, clearing plates, offering smiles that no one returned. She wasn't supposed to be noticed. That was the life of a waitress, present but unseen. But Clara wasn't just a waitress. She had once been a promising chemistry student with dreams of becoming a scientist. Life, however, had different plans. Her mother's illness forced her to drop out of university and work double shifts just to keep food on the table. And yet, her sharp mind never dulled. That night, as Adrian Cole flipped through the final pages of the contract, Clara's eyes caught something no one else had noticed: a chemical formula scribbled at the bottom of the proposal. Her heart skipped. She recognized it instantly. And what she saw wasn't just a minor error. It was a disaster waiting to happen. Clara's hand shook as she placed the last glass of wine on the table. The board members leaned forward, urging Adrian to sign. Millions of dollars, global influence, the prestige of being part of a life-changing deal. It was all right there. But Clara couldn't stay silent. Her conscience screamed louder than her fear. "Sir," she whispered, her voice almost breaking, "that formula is wrong. If you sign this, people could get hurt." The room froze. Then laughter erupted. "Who is she?" One investor barked, "Remove her at once." Another shouted. The head of security stepped forward. But Adrian raised a hand. His piercing blue eyes studied Clara. He had spent his life surviving betrayals and deception, trusting only his instincts. And something inside him said this trembling young woman was telling the truth. "Explain," he said simply. The room erupted again. Advisors shouted. Lawyers protested. Board members threatened to leave. But Adrian silenced them with a single look. Clara's knees felt weak, but she steadied herself. Words poured out of her like a flood. She explained the unstable molecular structure. She described how the altered formula would collapse under testing, how it would not only cost millions of dollars, but also put patients' lives at risk. The board sneered. "This is nonsense. She's just a waitress." But Adrian leaned in, listening carefully, eyes narrowing at every detail. He didn't hear desperation, he heard knowledge. Finally, he ordered his legal and scientific team to verify her claim. The room turned into chaos. Guests whispered. Investors muttered angrily, and Clara stood frozen, terrified. She had just thrown her life away. Hours passed, and then the results came back. She was right, deadly right. The deal collapsed instantly. Furious investors stormed out, cursing Adrian for listening to a nobody. Millions of dollars slipped through his fingers, but Adrian didn't care. For the first time in years, he felt something other than greed and ambition. He felt gratitude. The next morning, Adrian asked about Clara. He discovered her story, how she worked endless shifts to support her sick mother, how she had abandoned her dreams for family, how she had been overlooked by a world that only saw her as a waitress. And for Adrian Cole, a man who had built empires, that realization shattered him. Weeks passed, but Adrian couldn't forget Clara's courage. He reached out not with money or charity, but with genuine respect. At first, she resisted, suspicious of his intentions, but slowly, she saw a man trying to change. Adrian began cancelling ruthless projects he had once pursued. He redirected his fortune into ethical research and community programs. Together with Clara, he launched a foundation that supported underprivileged students in science. And for the first time in his life, Adrian Cole, the man who thought money could buy anything, found something priceless: humanity. Years later, Adrian stood on a stage before thousands, announcing a groundbreaking new medicine developed by one of Clara's scholarship recipients. Cameras flashed, applause thundered. But Adrian's eyes searched the crowd until he found her. Clara James, no longer a waitress, no longer invisible. She wore a lab coat now, her dream finally alive. And in that moment, Adrian didn't hear the applause. He only heard the whisper that had saved him. "Sir, that formula is wrong." One whisper, one act of courage, one ordinary woman who stopped a billionaire and saved millions of lives. If this story moved you, don't let it stop here. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who believes in courage, and most importantly, subscribe to Jameel Tales for more powerful stories that touch the heart. And tell us in the comments, do you believe a single act of courage can change the world? Because Clara did, and the world was never the same again.